Vampyr. Tal como dejemos la partida la otra vez, que encontremos al hombre ese, al doctor. Bueno, que el tío que resultaba que era un doctor. Hemos matado a nuestro primer boss también. Aún no le acabo de pillar el control al juego porque recibo hostias muy fácilmente, pero bueno. Y bueno, a ver cómo continuamos. Estamos en el hospital.
It's okay, Jonathan. I'll see you later.
Vale, pues tenemos que acceder al hospital. Por aquí.
It's locked, all right.
No, por aquí no. Pues entonces que voy por aquí. Mira, se están peleando. Ya lo ha matado. Le está cuchillando.
Rotten or pristine, each heart contains.
Mira, la tira.
Drink at this river, try it
all. Oh, come on, you bastard! I won't bite.
Sir, please. You've lost too much blood. Calm yourself.
You think I didn't notice? Stop your staring and get me to an hospital, you arse!
Insulting a good Samaritan. Not exactly the way to get rescued.
All right, sorry. I am in pain. The guts are spilling out onto the street and you're yabbering on.
Yes. That's a very nasty wound you've got there. Take my word, I am a doctor. Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Name's Clay Cox. I'd appreciate you helping me to a better place, Doc.
Follow me, Mr. Cox. Let me assist you to that better place.
O sea que con el L1 es como que les lavo el cerebro y así me siguen.
Bring this fading light into the shadows. Dance with him the dance of life and death.
Vale. O sea, X para matarlo. Redonda para liberarlo. Ron, 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 ron. Vamos a liberarlo. Que no somos mala gente.
No more. Not tonight. Not like this. I will not take another life.
Así me gusta.
It is wise for the huntsman to sometimes let his prey go. But no famished hunter can run for long.
Pero no le vamos a llevar al hospital. Da igual, ya llegará él solo.
Doctor, where have you been? I've little time to play hide and seek with new staff members, no matter how illustrious they may be.
I found a wounded man by the docks. He answers to the name of Clay Cox. He requires urgent medical attention.
Already making the rounds? That's the Pembroke spirit. I'll ask our porter, Milton, to bring him back immediately.
Thank you, nurse. What can I do for you?
Dr. Swansea insisted we provide you a quiet office. You'll find it on the second floor with your name on the door.
Thank you. Nurse Crane, isn't it?
Yes, Dorothy Crane. Welcome to Pembroke Hospital, Dr. Reed. Your office has been prepared.
Muy bien. Hostia, pues tiene buena calidad de sangre. Pero no la vamos a molestar. Esto de salud grave. Claro, vale.
I would like to ask a few questions first.
Voy, espera. Ahora vengo. Voy. Creía que tenía llave. Ahora te hablo, ahora te hablo. Ya estoy aquí, que me he tenido que ir un momento. Okay.
And Mr. Hampton, the patient we brought in, how does he fare?
No, no lo hemos ingresado.
I gave him a sedative to help him sleep. Poor thing was in quite a state of shock.
Mentira. Si no habéis ido ni a
If you
buscarlo.
could point me in the direction of my room again, nurse.
Second floor of the hospital, left after the stairs. It's the last vacant office at the end of the corridor.
What kind of man is Dr. Swansea?
Well, you accepted the job from him. I thought you would have known about your employer.
It's right to assume Dr. Swansea knows far more about me than I do about him.
You'll get to know him soon enough, and better than me. The administrator has better things to do than mix with us.
Pues nada. Esto,
Apologies, I've only just met him the once. This is sudden. I've only just returned to England.
Dr. Swansea is a brilliant surgeon and the most compassionate physician.
Vale. Pues ya está. Ya hemos,
Thank you, nurse.
ya hemos visto todo. Pues nada. Ahí hay algo. Mira, aquí hay cositas. Una botella. ¿Y aquí?
Dr. Swansea is right. This place seems perfect to conduct my research.
Mira. Esto le vendría bien a la gente con el tema del COVID.
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet.
Pipa, se llama como mi
My
gata.
name is Pippa Hawkins.
Pipa.
And I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. Dr. Swansea has recently offered me a position in this hospital.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
How would you describe this situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this epidemic was worse? What if in the end, nobody was spared?
No puedo cautivar.
You must get a hold of yourself, nurse.
Sorry, I'm exhausted. No one has any idea when this epidemic will be over.
Qué gran verdad, maja.
How long have you been a nurse?
Or long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change that.
You're right. When dealing with such a terrible disease, one must remain humble. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try our best.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter, but I'm just too tired to give a pep talk like Nurse Brannigan.
No puedo. Esa porque requiere una pista.
Do you need medical help yourself, nurse?
I'm fine, really. I just need to sleep.
No puedo hacer más preguntas.
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual, especially concerning doctors.
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved it or not.
Mira. Vaya.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
I don't know. Just ask him.
Bueno,
But be
hola. No sé quién está
Milton
mirando,
is
pero
not the
hola.
chatty
Hello.
type.
Bueno, aquí hemos acabado.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Vale, a ver qué más gente interesante puede haber por aquí. A ver.
Good evening.
Hola, ¿qué tal,
I'm
Moser?
Dr. Reed, the new surgeon of the Pembroke Hospital. And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. You're nothing but dust blown by the winds of eternity.
I beg your
Qué
pardon.
señora
What are you
más
begging
maja.
for, mortal? My clemency? Well, tonight maybe I'm inclined to
A ver qué
mercy.
se cuenta.
You'll never forget the night you met Thelma Howcroft.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that?
Me
And if
alegro.
I'm mortal,
Tal que es usted.
Well, Dr. Reed, if you must know,
Oh, es otra vampira.
I'm a vampire.
Uy. Dice que es una vampira la muchacha. ¿Cautivar? No la podemos cautivar. Ah, sí, aquí. Nada, pero no podemos cautivarla. Revisión médica, lo dejaremos para luego.
and
Vampiro.
why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
Bueno, Moser, ¿qué te cuentas? ¿Cómo va todo?
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like to be a vampire?
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as
cámara
my
no me
flesh
gusta,
cracks
sí.
and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
Muy bien, me alegro.
I
¿Me
see.
contar?
Have you ever heard of Cotard syndrome?
Ah, gracias. Se alegra tener
It's a
a
mental illness discovered by a
alguien
French
mirándolo, aunque sea.
neurologist named
Que
Jules
estoy
Cotard.
probando el
The affected patients
Vampyr.
are delusional.
Que bueno, tiene buena pinta.
Putrefying, that they are dead,
Por
a
lo que he
ghost
estado
or a
jugando.
ghoul, or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh,
Una
sad.
pista. Síndrome de Cotard. Vale. Tiene la calidad de sangre es bastante buena
You
dentro
can't
de lo
even
que
begin
cabe.
to understand the concept of immortality. And you
Aunque no
think
creo que
it
vaya a
is I
matarla.
who
Voy a
am
intentar
delusional.
no matar gente. Aquí.
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howcroft?
It's only a cover. To hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure. But I sense their
Oh,
eyes
es
on me from
paranoica
nearby.
también.
I
Buena
feel them
combinación.
watching me every time I visit the garden near the morgue.
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make sure they leave you alone.
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
Investigaciones locales, ciudad. A ver esto. ¿Qué puede ver sobre ciudad? Vale. Ah, vale. Y vaya... Sí, sí que tiene intriga el juego, la verdad. Ay, mira, mejor, sí. Si se puede conectar por cable la Play, mejor, suele ir mejor. Yo la mía está con wifi, pero el wifi está más o menos cerca de la consola, o sea, no... Vale. Rastrear aquí. Queremos averiguar quién espía a Thelma. Atrás. A ver, preguntas personales.
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
No, it was such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
Sí, esperemos que sí.
I'll leave
hemos
you,
acabado.
Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
A ver. Pues la cabeza esta me imagino que es la investigación personal. Tenemos el fin de un... Claro, que hay que hacer la Belcana archicurtida, que está dentro de nada la meten. El jueves, me parece, o el viernes. Por ahí. A ver, este es mi despacho. Sí, este es mi despacho.
This must be the place.
Mira qué
It's
bonito.
definitely away from prying eyes.
Voy a ver qué hay por
Relegated
aquí.
to the shadows. A kingdom of my own.
Sí, aquí en la cama
At
para
least I won't be
descansar.
sleeping in a coffin.
Ok, a ver. Para analizar. Vale. Pero... Ah, mira. Esto me viene bien. Recuperar vida. No puedo crear nada de curas aún. Poco. Voy a ver si puedo mejorar algo. No. Machete, ¿puedo mejorarlo? No. No puedo mejorar mucho en la pistola. No puedo hacer mucho.
William Bishop's blood is much more
espera.
unstable than human blood and shows extensive mutation. But this is not what happened to me. I must keep on searching.
Vale.
The sun is about to rise. I can feel it. The flower's dying.
Oh,
It needs
necesitaba.
water.
Sí, podemos hacer la curva también y buena suerte con el Fatalis. Que chungo, pero bueno, se puede hacer. Y ya verás que está muy chulo. Me parece agotarlos. Vaya. Sí, lo de hechizarlos, de esto que nos han enseñado. Hostia. Implantar recuerdos falsos y tal. Pues sí. Vale. Interesante documento. Uy, aquí hay algo, aquí hay algo. Uy. Vale. Claro, el doctor este que sabe que somos vampiros nos está ayudando. Sí, ya lo he leído eso. Voy a descansar primero. A ver si podemos comprar alguna habilidad. Esto es para curarme. La sombría. No me va a dejar comprarlo. No terminan tácticas defensivas. Esto lo podemos comprar. Pero esto no lo podemos comprarlo aún. Mordedura. Mejorar la habilidad. No sé qué podemos comprar. Esto pero no me va a dejar tampoco. Pues vamos a pillar una defensiva. Esta mismo. A ver. Vale. Confirmar. Vale. Nos despertamos.
If I'm to stay here until my research is complete, I'd better learn to hide my true nature from the mortals.
Muy bien.
But what about my thirst for blood?
Sí, pero... A ver que
Yes,
si nos
Nurse
cuenta
Crane? How
algo
can I help?
nuevo la muchacha.
I'm so sorry. I know Dr. Swansea wanted you to rest, but we have somewhat of a crisis.
Uy,
A crisis, you say?
Our supply of antiseptics is nearly depleted. I was hoping there was another box up here, but...
What type of hospital are you running? No antiseptics?
You have been away too long, Doctor. With the war and now this epidemic,
verdad.
supplies have been running scarce for months now.
I may have a solution. In France, during the war, drugs shortage was a daily problem, and we had to use our wits to overcome the shortages.
However do you mean?
If combined correctly, certain household chemical products can be used in a pinch instead. Now, where's the hospital storeroom?
The storeroom? Fat chance. This is the Pembroke, and space is luxury we don't have. Everything used to be stored in the old morgue.
Bueno, queríamos ir
Perhaps
ahí
we should look there
igualmente, creo
first.
recordar.
Where is this morgue?
It's the large building behind the hospital. You'll need to go in the back door because it's been sealed off for sanitary reasons. Take this key. It opens a small back entrance at the end of a narrow street.
The abandoned morgue behind the hospital. A small door at the end of a narrow street. On my way, then. Thank you, nurse.
Vale, pero primero quiero hacerlo de la cabecita. Espérame que hay algo.
It's locked.
Está cerrado.
It's locked.
Cerrado también. No. El mapa. Aquí. Vale, tengo que bajar. Aquí hay algo. Una cerrozada. Pobre. Pobre Tomás. No han dado materiales. Vamos a bajar. Espera, aquí. que hay alguien aquí, Vamos a hablar con él, a ver qué se cuenta.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm new here.
I've already heard about you, Dr. Reed. I'm Milton Hooks, the ambulance driver for this shithole of a hospital.
That's quite a blunt introduction, Mr. Hooks.
You can call me Milton. I like to speak my mind, Dr. Reed. Perk of the job. Don't judge me, and I won't judge you.
I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure a gun can't be used as a surgical instrument.
You have a keen eye. I learned to shoot during the war, and have carried one ever since. Old habits die hard.
No need to explain, Dr. Reed. And if you ever need a better gun, remember, I may have something for you.
Mira. A ver qué se cuenta.
How is the situation around here?
You want to hear the situation is all right? It's fucking awful. We lack everything, and it's getting worse every day.
So what do you do exactly in this hospital? Apart from smuggling guns, I mean.
I've been an ambulance driver since... too long, I guess. I bring sick people here night and day. It's a dirty job, but I get it done. Most of the time.
That's it.
It sounds like things have been a bit rough recently. What's happened?
Yesterday I got attacked by the patient I was bringing in. I escaped through the hospital's garden, but I lost my wallet when I was running.
En el
You
jardín del
left
hospital.
an infected patient outside the hospital. That's incredibly dangerous.
Go there yourself if you want, but be careful, Doctor. I'd rather not bring your dead body back.
Mira, otra investigación.
Since you're on the front line, how is the sanitary situation in this vicinity?
It's a complete disaster. It's even getting dangerous to enter some streets or buildings. Even the locals attack you.
Are you really smuggling weapons through the hospital?
And why not? I've already been attacked by patients, you know. And by gang members willing to steal my money.
But you're not defending yourself. You're selling guns to civilians.
You keep people alive your own way, Doctor. I offer them another way to protect their health.
Why do you have such a mediocre reputation among your colleagues, Milton?
Fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors I've seen since working here. This city was sick long before the epidemic, Dr. Reed.
I know it's a difficult task, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not the job you are paid to do?
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words. So excuse me if I don't look on the bright side of life.
Pobre. No me dejo preguntarle nada personal.
I'd like to see your goods.
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. A reliable gun is what everybody needs these days.
Vale. Vende. Bueno, vende materiales. No puedo comprar más. Vale. Mira. Tienes personales aquí. No, está arriba en la caja de arriba. Entonces... Ya, pues entonces vamos a investigar la otra. Aquí. Vale. Jardín trasero.
Thelma Howcroft said she was being watched by vampire hunters. Where are they hiding? I should investigate. It's locked. Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed.
Always a pleasure to meet a colleague, sir. Especially when he was supposedly dead.
A colleague? Are you a doctor too?
Not anymore, sir. I used to be Dr. Rakesh Chadana. Now, I'm just Mr. Chadana, pawnbroker and humble guardian of this morgue.
What do you mean? You used to be a doctor. Was your license revoked?
No, sir. It is just that I like to be precise. I run a little pawn shop while taking care of the dead. But I used to be a real doctor.
Are you afraid or uneasy being surrounded by so many corpses?
Why should I? These bodies are empty vessels. Flesh left to decay. Poof. No soul anymore. All gone.
An interesting point of view. And quite an exotic one, too. Most people fear, or at least have a respect, for dead flesh.
Sir, as a medic during the war, I learned to face my death and the death of others. It's the pain we have to tame, not death itself.
Es una forma de verlo. Mira.
How did you get this job?
After I left the army, I worked as an undertaker down by the docks. A dangerous place with many an unpleasant business there. Milton Hooks helped me get a job here.
Have we met before?
I don't think so, sir. Why?
When we first talked, you said you were glad to meet me since I was reported dead.
Funny story, sir. Your sister came here a few nights ago. You were missing, and she was looking for your body. She must be very relieved now.
Bueno, pobrecillo, no lo sabe usted
Do you
bien.
work here alone?
Yes, very easy work, sir. All I have to do is watch a few bodies. The situation was very different when the main morgue was still open.
Why do you have to watch these bodies?
Because these poor fellows have no names. We keep them in case someone comes looking for the missing. Sadly, very rarely happens.
Why close the hospital's main morgue?
It was for sanitary reasons after the beginning of the epidemic. Cadavers had to be moved to the nearest mass grave.
A pawnbroker? I expect you get all types of people here.
Yes, sir. All kind of people. For I sell all kind of goods.
Wait, no.
A pawnbroker?
Yes, sir.
Who comes here to trade?
I'm very cautious, sir. I've been a doctor, remember? And all my clients are good people. In fact, I think I only know good people.
No sé, no sé.
What kind of goods?
With the quarantine, it's not always easy to buy things. So I trade, I exchange. Some people sell, some others buy. I like to help.
Eso no me convence.
Since you're not afraid of dying, do you believe in life after death, Rakesh?
No. I believe we must do all the good we can while alive. For our time is short, and the obstacles are endless.
Do you think you would enjoy immortality as a concept?
I don't think so. Don't mistake me. I love life, and I'd like to live a long life. But everything has to decay, sir. Even goodwill.
Do you really believe goodwill cannot last?
As I said, sir, everything decays. If I was to never die, goodness, I would be bored or worse. And I like to be helpful, sir.
Quite depressing, wouldn't you say?
Yes, but the good news is we'll all die before losing our humanity, sir.
So you're ready to die?
No, I'm not. I don't fear death, for I won't see it. What troubles me is the pain my death will inflict to those I know.
You're a wise man, Mr. Chadana.
No, Dr. Reed. I am a foolish man. But I like to think otherwise.
Puede ser que es majo. No puedo pedir más. A ver qué vende.
Please show me what.
Of course. It's just drink.
No vende muchas cosas. No puedo comprar nada. Me temo. Vendí sabido... No llego a saber y no compro materiales. Pero bueno. Y hay otro, pero primero vamos a examinar por aquí. ¿Qué hay? Oh. Otra pista. Luego hablaremos con él sobre ello. Sobre el tema de la extorsión. Pero por ahora vamos a seguir investigando a la muchacha.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a car one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reed.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Aykroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured.
Sí, eso es verdad.
Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable. And your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies.
A ver, no puedo preguntarle.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
I will not let you down, Mike.
Estoy haciendo esta.
Boy.
I'm so tired.
Oh, no podía acabar de escribir, la pobre. Uy, vamos a hablar con él sobre ello.
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
You seem worried about the safety of your family. And it's obviously the reason why your wound troubles you so much.
I cannot give up on my children now. They both need me living.
What about their mother, if I may ask?
She died in 1915 during one of the first Zeppelin raids.
Pobre.
We never found her body.
Tell me more about the death of your wife, Harvey.
1915. I was in the army, building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent to the front.
What happened?
Hola.
The Germans sent Zeppelins to
Hola,
bomb
hello.
the construction site, but they missed their target.
Estoy jugando
My
aquí
wife
al
was bringing
Vampyr
my
un
dinner when
ratillo.
the bombs fell.
I'm
Me estaba
sorry,
contando
Fiddick.
este hombre que
So many died during
su
the
mujer se murió y que si sigue así con el brazo no podrá cuidar de sus hijos, no podrá darles de
Say that
comer.
she didn't suffer. Truth is, I have no idea. I just know that I'm all that me kids have. Poor little bleeders.
Pobres.
How are your children after losing their mother?
They were smaller then. The only good thing about this is my Helen didn't bring them with her that night.
Vale, ya no podemos preguntarle nada más.
I'll see you later.
Still more coming.
Okay,
How can we be sure we're making a difference?
Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
A ver qué se nos cuenta.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr. Reed. I run my own experiments. I'm convinced it's the future.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am honored to have the opportunity to work by your side.
Mira, qué majo.
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only ones able to defeat it.
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical.
Vaya, qué pena.
You may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
Eso es verdad.
What can you tell me about the Pembroke?
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of science.
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True, true. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work. We're not smiling now.
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by if I have time.
Una nueva investigación.
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him, or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Yo también lo conozco.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
Una pista.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality. You must know that a good surgeon must remain neutral.
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr. Ackroyd's behavior, a man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings with desires, hopes, and fears. Not some biological machine comprised of blood, bones, and flesh.
Pues nada, no puedo hacer más.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland. Goodbye.
Vale, vamos a hablar con él otra vez.
Good evening.
Personales.
Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
Pobre.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick. Unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
Goodbye for now, Mr.
Pobre.
My boy.
Espero que encontremos que se solucione su situación. Pobre.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr.
no
Reed.
estamos aquí
I
para
believe
eso.
we're going to be colleagues.
Reed, yes, I've been informed about your arrival.
Odio la cámara
I'm
esta.
Waverly
Está,
Ackroyd.
a veces se
Welcome
pone muy
aboard, I
rara.
suppose.
Does my arrival
No sé si es
inconvenience
un
you
bug
in
o es que
some
está
way?
diseñado así
Let us just say
expresamente,
that I
pero
don't particularly share Dr. Swansea's enthusiasm
Rara.
for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get. You will agree with that, I'm sure.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
Aren't you too old for such jealousy? It really won't do you any good, you know.
Don't be ridiculous, Dr. Reed. A simple glance is enough for me to know you have nothing for me to envy.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become displaced.
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking about?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor. Even if I, as any good practitioner should, express an interest in pushing the boundaries of medical research.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
Ay.
Tell me, Waverly, what do you think of Dr. Strickland's enthusiasm for his experimental research?
Strickland is playing with his patients' lives for pride and glory. Now that, sir, is unethical.
Are you thinking about something in particular?
Harvey Fiddick needs delicate surgery. I believe we should stick to the usual procedure, but my young colleague obviously disagrees.
Why do you wish to lead this surgery?
I strongly believe that Mr. Fiddick should not be butchered to test an unproven procedure.
If you are going to lead this surgery, I'm trusting you to assume the consequences of your actions, whatever the result.
I'm not the kind of man who runs away from his responsibilities, Dr. Reed. There is no need for you to be looking over my shoulder.
And are you not afraid that your rivalry with Strickland may be blinding you?
Rivalry? I guess you could call it that. But I will never be childish enough to let my personal feelings affect my judgment.
Since your tenure in the...
Let's just...
Carelessness. I don't...
Ya lo he puesto yo. Las personales.
I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reed, but your motive. Is it money, fame, or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Ackroyd.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
Knowledge has always been and will remain our main weapon. And it has always come at a price. And personal initiative.
It is not a question of initiative. It is a question of integrity. These men and women have put their faith in us, Dr. Reed.
It seems you have bad...
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress. War only reveals the worst in men.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd. Thank you for your time.
No hemos avanzado en la investigación, pero bueno.
You always knew the words to calm the children.
Aquí hay gente también.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother...
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the...
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude.
Oh, come on.
And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
Otra que pide dinero.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
Certo.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
What can you tell me about?
Not much to say.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick. Good evening.
No.
Really? Why?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient have to communicate, sir. Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of something more hurtful.
Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even write about it now.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to leave you alone if you would prefer.
That's tempting, Doctor. But you have no idea what my mother is capable of. She would tie herself to my bed if you asked her to leave.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, but rest assured you're in good hands here.
It's not me you have to convince, Dr. Reed. It's my mother.
How painful.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
I have to go now.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, Doctor.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Good evening, Doctor.
Goodbye.
Reads me like a book. I'll never forget.
I'm quite busy.
Thank you.
Con el otro. Okay. Se lo
Good
ponemos
evening.
de
And good
esta
evening to you.
No me deja.
What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Goodbye.
A ver si podemos hablar sobre el tema ese con el otro doctor. Ahí está.
I'm quite...
Thank you for your time.
A ver, ¿con quién más podemos hablar? Aquí tenemos Doña Pipa.
Good evening, Nurse Hall.
Good evening, Doc.
Pipa, Pipa.
Goodbye.
Sorry you ended up.
I cannot enter.
Medical bench, sir. I understand you must be very angry about this unfair situation. I managed to arrange to have you buried in the same mass grave as your wife. I hope that might help.
No me deja entrar, ¿qué estafa es esta? Estafa. El tema.
sadly did. I'm managing a train terminal, not a morgue.
Goodbye.
It never ceases to
Parece que haya mucho más por aquí. Nada. Vamos a ver el otro objetivo. Aquí parece que hemos hecho. Ah, no, mira. Como un callejón por ahí, a lo mejor. Por ahí. En el callejón ese hay algo. A ver si por aquí. ¿Alguna puerta trasera o yo qué sé? Algo. Uy, hay enemigos.
Over there! There's one of them vermin! Die, vermin! Shit, that leech is fun!
Mira, o parece que creen que es un vampiro de verdad. Está. Vale. Ay, hemos hecho una investigación en el hospital Pana. Pero bueno, algo es algo. Joder, el ruidito. Está en nivel 18. Mucho. Es mucho para mí. Parece que me lo está dejando bastante fácil el juego. equipar el arma, me voy a cambiar el arma. Porque me gusta más el machete, la verdad. Ah, me han matado. He podido matar al otro, pero estos me han matado. Está claro que el combate no lo pilló. Creo que al menos hemos ya guardado el matar al otro. Que no creo, no sé cómo irá el tema del guardado y las cosas que se consiguen y tal. Pero bueno, probaremos. Vale. Uy, me regenero. No parece que esté. Creo que lo he matado. Sangre. Voy a cuidar de los bichos, de los enemigos. El tío de la escopeta y el tío de fuego. Me han matado. Pues son más peligrosos estos tíos que los ghouls, que el ghoul antes de nivel 18 o así. A ver si carga y podemos volverlo a intentar. Lo que me jode es el tiempo de carga, que es largo, y eso que tengo un SSD o quizás que estoy mal acostumbrado, yo que sé. Pero el tema también que con tan poca sangre poco puedo hacer. No, a ver si puedo. interesante aquí. Bueno, hay dinero. Dinerito. Al menos sabemos que por morir tampoco perdemos nada. Sé que es por allí. Todavía.
This is no place for you, sir. I said go back home. Steady, boys. We've got one of them. Easy does it, boys.
Uy, se me ha bloqueado. Se me ha quedado pillado. Qué bien. Hola. Pues a esto les hago pupita. El tema del nivel es un poco random, la verdad. Pero bueno. En fin. Pues nada, vamos a reiniciar otra vez.